Mira Business FM, the sound of success.
This is Mira Business FM on the website mirabusiness.fm, streaming online on YouTube as well and across social media in different forms. You can contact us, info@mira.fm, and you can also do that via WhatsApp, 522-789-567, or just type whatsapp.mira.fm and the dialogue box should come up to get in touch with us. The podcasts are available pretty much wherever you find your podcasts, and everything we do is podcast as well, so you can listen and watch again. Now, it's Abu Dhabi Finance Week this week. The theme is engineering the capital network, and that's what we're kind of going to be talking about next, but talking specifically Islamic finance with Abdul, Rafay, Gadit. Now, Abdul is a Dubai-based entrepreneur focused on Sharia-compliant investment infrastructure. He recently has been leading the launch of Nawr Finance, which is an on-chain yield platform that's Sharia-certified by Amani Advisors. Abdul, good to have you on the program with us. A busy few days ahead, I'm sure. Thanks for making time.
Thank you very much for inviting. Absolutely. Coming from digital asset crypto space, when the finance conference comes in, it's a different flavor altogether. And with the world of finance coming towards all this tokenization and stablecoin, I think the boundaries are blurred, and then people like us, we have to wear a different hat altogether for such events.
Well, you really do. Can I start, Abdul, with Nawr Finance? Your background is corporate banking. I've read that these days you spend much of your time translating Islamic finance principles into practical investment products. Talk me through, if you would, the early days of Nawr Finance.
So Nawr Finance is one of the companies where I'm one of the board members there as well, and I actively advise them. Nawr Finance is part of the broader initiative that we have taken, as a blockchain, which is ultimately in permissionless, but essentially focused, especially in the MENA region, to provide the investment opportunities which are very related to Sharia compliance. So Nawar Finance being one of the protocols, another one being Zamanat, and there are a few more coming. So the idea is that when because I was a banker 10 years ago with Standard Chartered in DIFC Dubai, and when I left banking because of digital asset space, I started figuring out that what is the next best thing, then how the blockchain applications will come in. It will take a lot. It took a lot of years, for the broader global industry to realize that the application of blockchain goes just beyond simple crypto trading. And this is where this concept of investment management and fund management is started coming. I co-founded a blockchain called ZIGChain. And underneath that, then we started taking those initiatives where, we started actively incubating, investing, and nurturing those startups, which can actually bring the concepts of investment management from leads to the masses as well, making, people empowered in their own way. And obviously, since I'm originally from Pakistan and based in Dubai, I obviously realize the importance of Sharia compliant finance in this region and in a very big part of the world. There is a $4.2 trillion of Sharia compliant money, global finance out there, and it is pretty much untapped if you look at it. Hence, we decided that alongside everything else, we will, start taking those initiatives where, where we can benefit the people not only from this region but from Muslims all across the world. And this is how one of the initiatives is now a finance. It came about where the idea was that, in the easiest and the most simplest way, how can we use different digital assets to actually generate yield, which is Sharia compliant. And this is where we started looking at institutions, retail. We started working with Amani Advisors, which is one of the institutional grade Sharia compliant authority in the region, and recently got the certification from them, both on the Bitcoin and ZIGCoin assets. So people who are using this product, they can actually be very comfortable that the yield that they are getting is Sharia compliant in nature, which is again essential for this region and the greater Muslim population across the globe.
Well, it is. I was going to ask you to quantify the demand for this with, obviously
Yeah.
Islamic investors, Muslims generally, which you've managed to do it without me even asking, which is great. But I mean, this is a fast-growing need, isn't it? Digital tools that align with Islamic values and ethical investing principles. I just wanted to take a step back a moment there. You mentioned blockchain and ZIGChain, which you were behind. Could you just break down ZIGChain for me, Abdul?
Absolutely. I'm very happy that you asked this question. So I'll take even a step back to 2007, 2008, when I was freshly turned 18, and you remember the global financial crisis that happened. Everything kind of crashed. Back in the day, I was based in Pakistan, and I luckily had like $5,000-6,000, and I wanted to buy Google or Yahoo or some other shares because everything was down bad, and I tried doing it, but it was impossible. I mean, there was no way to send money out of my country to buy these things. And again, I wanted to buy the actual share. I did not want to buy CFDs because they were not Sharia compliant. So even at that time, I wanted to keep it that way. And what happened was I was not able to. I asked my father, who was one of the top bankers in the country, and he told me that he has tried it many times and was not able to. Then fast moving a few years, I was banker myself based in Dubai doing things, and one fine day I stumbled upon Bitcoin in 2013. I started studying this, and I realized that this actually will solve a very long lasting itch, not only for myself but almost 80% population of the world, which lives in emerging market where capital controls and currency controls and all these barriers to fair markets are there. I left banking a year after that. Then I started doing working in the crypto side, found some places to invest, but it was really trying to find what I want to do to solve for this problem of access and knowledge around investment. In 2017, 2018, I founded a platform called Signally with my two Spanish partners. And this was basically to connect fund managers with the investor. This protocol did really well. It is still, working really well. We make 8-digit revenues, billions in volume, millions in customers. It's doing great. 2.5 years ago, we decided that, we will take this protocol to the next level, and we will convert and we will extend this into a blockchain, which can be a very basic enabler to bring all the investment opportunities in the world to everyone in the world, regardless of their size, their location, their know-how, and their pocket size. With this mission, we launched ZIGChain. It is a layer one blockchain, very much focused on making sure that it is institutional ready, it is compliant, regulated, but still has all the rings and bells around the retail onboarding, so that the everyone, the normal people in the world like you and I, we can actually participate in things which were previously unknown. For example, you look at the biggest and the greatest fast moving companies like OpenAI. People can only dream of investing in those companies, but through blockchain and those innovations, now you can participate in the economic benefit and the upside of even OpenAI or XAI or SpaceX as well. So this is the practicality of the blockchain which we are trying to apply through ZIGChain.
So really, it's almost as though you spent the last, I don't know, 15 years or so, 20 years perhaps, in real terms, trying to make sure that sophisticated investment strategies are kind of available to anyone, regardless of financial status or crypto knowledge, I guess.
Absolutely, that's the idea. And that's again a very interesting part that I wanted to mention about. People think when you say blockchain, people think crypto. I mean, yes, cryptos, currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum and others have been a great category creation force and a really, a door opener for a lot of conversations in the world. But the application goes way beyond it, right? I mean, by the use of, like, I'm sure you must have heard about the word tokenization these days a lot, stable coins a lot. What are
Sure.
These things are true applications of blockchain. And, if you're true to your journey, I've been in the digital asset space for more than a 10 year, and the financial space for almost 17, 18 years now. And um, this is the thing that I realized that the medium of delivery can keep changing. but the ultimate goal needs to remain the same, that if you want to provide these sophisticated investments in the best, easiest UI UX to the end user in a way that they don't even need to know that there is a blockchain technology behind it, that is the true victory, and this is what we are working towards.
Okay, so it's a decentralized system. So, you can create new avenues of wealth creation. In the past, it's often been said that some Islamic finance, some investment or financial products in Islamic finance are often accused or have been accused of simply being conventional financial products, kind of repackaged and rebranded. I think that was, perhaps the case in the past. But
Mm.
let me ask you this: what makes a product genuinely Sharia compliant? How would you encapsulate that?
Yeah. Again, I'm not a mufti to give a fatwa, but I'll tell you with my understanding of how the landscape is. And it is true. I mean, I would not deny the fact that a lot of shortcuts have been taken in the financial industry in terms of just repackaging and changing the words, and making the conventional product look like Sharia compliant product. And unfortunately, reality is that there are many sects, many how do you call it? Many houses that have stamped even those things across the world, and that
Yeah.
has been a big problem. Like, especially if you and the definition of Sharia compliant literally changes from country to country, region to region, and literally from one place to the other. But then there are some global institutions that you look towards, the places like UAE, places like Pakistan or Egypt or Malaysia or Saudi. You look at those core principles given by those core people in these countries, and there are some very well-known names and well-known institutions, established institutions that have issued guidelines. So it is important to basically make sure that, one, if you're investing, the institution that you are going with is actually complied with one of those guidelines at least. Because again, it's a spectrum. Sharia compliance is a spectrum. It is not like, I mean, a thing can be very hardcore there, but can also be at the fence of it. So it is tough to say that this is an exact one line that you follow and you become Sharia compliant. It is not the case. It varies asset by asset. It actually varies belief by belief, understanding by understanding. You need to understand that the Islamic finance sector is relatively very new to the world. I think it is what, 40-50 year old versus the 1400-year-old financial system and 500-year-old banking system. So it is growing. um, One thing that I generally see as a principle, there are three guiding principles when you trade something. For example, how does your investment become Sharia compliant? Let's say there can be three things around it. Number one, again, this is the understanding that I have developed through my years in Islamic banking and through working with a lot of institution. Number one, the underlying asset, of course, it needs to be Sharia compliant asset. You cannot be doing in gambling or alcohol or things like that. So underlying asset has to be Sharia compliant, but it has to be a real asset. It cannot be something imaginary or in the future. Secondly, your asset has to be deliverable. You take delivery or not, that's up to you. Like, for example, if I'm buying gold at IBKR, it is deliverable. I can get the delivery. I get it or not, it's my choice. Just like your shares in the market, they're deliverable. And there has to be a risk and reward mechanism. Hence, the interest is not considered Sharia compliant because there is no risk and return. You're simply getting time value of money. That concept does not exist. So to counter that, obviously a lot of murabaha and musharaka and wakala structures have come in. But essentially the idea is that these three things, if they are there, then broadly in 90% of the cases your trade can be considered Sharia compliant.
Can we touch a little bit further on some of the regulatory or I guess slash religious angles that you consider day to day? The concept of interest is of course not permitted in Islamic finance terms under
Yeah.
Islamic principles. Now, I was just looking at your website. Excuse me, over the weekend. Now it will avoid interest-based lending, high-risk speculation, and non-compliant assets. That's the pledge, if you like. The way in which the income and investment generates is structured for investors in Sharia-compliant products fascinates me. And my question is this. how do you restructure yield to satisfy halal investment requirements?
Yeah. So, and I will go beyond a certain product. I will again go broadly. So, for example, there's a very big market of lending borrowing in Middle East in the small and medium enterprise. In fact, there is a $50 billion gap here in terms of how much the SME sector needs versus how much is available to them from the banks, right?
Mm.
There is a very strong developing market now of these small fintech players who are coming up with this idea where they're pooling the risk and then offering it to the liquidity providers, and against the yield. I'll give an example of a company called InvoiceMate, Sharia compliant. What they are doing is that I think so far they have done $400 million worth of financing for the SME sector. What they do is that they go out to SMEs, they understand their working capital. Obviously, again, the underlying business needs to be Sharia compliant, so the base is there. Then they do a murabaha agreement in which there is a trade and a reverse trade happens. Again, would not go into too much technicality, but what they do is that they actually, the capital that they source to even fund those SMEs, they make sure that that is also coming from the sources which are adherent to these principles. And there are like bodies out there, there are third party independent verification out there which certified those as Sharia compliant, but the yield that is coming from these instruments are considered to be halal in that way. And because obviously the reason is that these are not based on the interest, these are based on profit sharing, these are based on management fee, and these are based on trade that is happening. So for example, if I'm lending to you in a Sharia compliant way, technically I'm becoming partner in your outcome. Obviously, there are structures built around it to make sure that the lenders are not exposed to too much of a risk, and there are some caps and floors that are being set in a nice way. But essentially, the idea is that it should not just be like this, that I'm lending you money and you're giving me back my money plus a percentage. That is not the idea. The idea is that I'm becoming participant in your business by investing in you, and I'm receiving something out of your P&L eventually. And this is why the due diligence of such deals is very important to make sure that the company is making significant cash flow, that they are not just going into the debt trap, and they're actually repaying using their profits and cash flow instead of just by repaying through the another financing. This is just one way to segregate the yield.
I guess if we can broaden the conversation a little bit further, it's kind of early days for concepts like fractional ownership. I guess it's certainly a concept or a product, if you like, we're going to be seeing more and more of, particularly with the DLD and regulatory bodies like VARA supporting
Yeah.
fractional ownership. It's exciting, I think, to be talking to somebody like you when so much is happening in the UAE. It's almost like a new frontier.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, I mean, you see, this is where the evolution comes in. And this is not only UAE, but I'll tell you something very exciting here. Why am I so confident and excited that this region is going to be the epitome of this revolution? Because, for example, when the fintechs of the world came in, institutions were a bit late, and eventually they ended up buying and investing everything at a 10x or 100x valuation. But in case of tokenization, because they have seen the efficiency of the process behind it, the BlackRocks of the world are screaming tokenization day in, day out. Larry Fink has been constantly talking about it. The SEC chair, he has been talking about it that the US capital markets are going to get tokenized. But beauty is that there are very few markets in the world who have truly cracked it, even at the government body level. And hats off to the UAE leadership that Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they are really there. DIFC, ADGM, VARA, all of them are there. We, through one of our investments, we actually became one of the acquirers. In fact, I think one of the first acquirers of the license for fund tokenization out of DIFC, and we'll soon be launching our fund from there as well, and it's a Sharia compliant fund. But the point is that this innovation is happening as we speak, because issue right now is that there are so many intermediaries in the investment management process that everything becomes expensive and unreachable.
Mm.
Why is it that the wealth managers need a certain barrier to be there because the cost of people management is too high. When you tokenize it and you bring it to the retail, this is what DLD has been working towards. I think they're working with Pripco and Damak and all those, and I think more are coming in. But these are practical use cases, category creation, great marketing. There are amazing structures coming on top of it. There are companies like Control Alt. There's a company, Valerium, DG Shares, Zamana, Trulium. All these companies popping out in Middle East, and they are, like doing an amazing job. So I think this revolution is coming, and I think Middle East can really be the epitome of it.
I mean, the thing as well on top of that is that these kinds of products, this kind of almost attitude to finance offers a new level of democratization. Investment vehicles that potentially allow investment in luxury real estate, for example, with far smaller amounts, as low as maybe a couple of thousand dirhams. The point is, this is for everyone. In theory, a little bit like Bitcoin, back in the day, back in 2009, 2010.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is still for everyone, right? One Bitcoin is still equal to one Bitcoin, and one sat is equal
I,
to one sat even
I
today,
guess so, yeah.
right? Yeah. But the thing is that I would say not even a couple of thousand. I would say should even be $1. I mean, why is it that the amount of money should matter?
Mm.
Amount of money should not matter. Everyone in the world should have the right to invest in anything that anyone else with even 100,000 million can be invested. This is a basic fundamental human right. It is not there today, but it can be. Blockchain can really solve for that, So, and there is a lot of innovation happening. Like, for example, one structure that DLD is doing is that, they are tokenizing the lendits. But there is another way of doing it is that you put that into a nice SPV or in a fund like in another jurisdiction, and you tokenize that. So essentially then you broaden the investor base into the UAE assets beyond UAE as well. You can bring global investor here from Brazil, from Nigeria, from I don't know, from Malaysia, from everywhere in the world. So the understanding of the technology and enablement of it is what is important. And I'll just add one thing that I practically work with more than 20-30 banks right now, including some very 300-year-old Swiss private banks. uh, they actually want to bring these assets from across the world to their clients. There's a global arbitrage available in terms of yields here and there, and due to one limitation or the other, was not possible before. But through tokenization, practically yield of private credit or real estate coming out of this region can be given to someone sitting in Switzerland, and the other way around on private equity. So this is brilliant innovation and truly inclusive.
Nawr means a number of things in Arabic. I'm looking this up at the weekend. This is not something that I know off the top of my head. I'll be honest with you. Gift, blessing, renewal, voice, intention, aspiration. And I guess
Yeah.
that's, the blossoming of a new start, in particular for you. According to your website, you're currently opening early access to a limited group of users for your Sharia-compliant DeFi private beta on ZIGChain, with the promise of these users becoming the first to explore halal yield opportunities on ZIGChain. So can you just talk me through the kinds of opportunities that are going to be opening up in the initial stages of the platform?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So again, like the team is doing a fantastic job there in terms of onboarding the early user and trying the platform out. Um, the So basically ZIGCoin is the native coin of ZIGChain, just like ETH is for Ethereum.
Yep.
And ZIGCoin has already received Sharia compliant fatwa from Amani advisors, which means that staking of ZIGCoin is deemed halal and Sharia compliant. What Nawr Finance is doing is that they are collecting funds, and they are staking on behalf of the users, eliminating all the barriers in between and passing on, because it's a technological thing and it's a lot of, you need higher capital, blah blah. They have like literally created this pool concept, and they are going to drive the yield directly to the user. It's a very nice yield to start with. I think it's 12% or something, which again is pretty cool.
Mm.
But going forward, what is going to happen there is that you will see different things. So for example, as I was mentioning about private credit, right? I mean, there are millions and millions of dollars of worth of deals happening where larger lenders are giving money to small borrowers across UAE or across the world as well. And those yields in a very nice way, in a vault way, will be available to the people on Nawr Finance as well, with as low as $10 as well. So you can practically start making money on your $10 using those products. Again, it's a journey. Something will happen today, something will happen next week, something will happen after 1 month. But the idea again remains the same, that across the world, wherever the Sharia compliant yield is available, create in a nice consumer consumption way, and bring it to the people.
Can we just look ahead to, as things develop, just briefly, and as access is opened up that little bit wider, what were you going to be adding from that point?
You mean, sorry, adding to
Adding
the kind
to,
of yields, or?
well, I know adding in terms of, products, opportunities. What might we look forward to?
Yeah. So there will be a lot of real world asset getting tokenized
Right.
and coming as Sharia compliant yield. So there will be opportunities around private credit. There will be opportunities around private venture. There will be opportunities around participating in some of the best infrastructure projects around oil and gas, as well as data centers as well. And we are actually talking to some of the very big funds in the US and in the region as well, that how we can take some of the fund equity and make it available to the Nawr users in a tokenized way, on blockchain, of course. So these things people can expect over the next few weeks and months.
Final couple of questions. I mentioned at the top of the interview that it's Abu Dhabi Finance Week this year. The theme is engineering the capital network, which seems to work very well with everything that you're doing. Can we just touch on Abu Dhabi Finance Week for a moment? What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting to see over the next few days?
Yeah. So this is very interesting. So because I come from a digital asset industry, from a crypto industry, right? So every year Abu Dhabi Finance Week was something secondary for us. But last year it changed.
Right.
When I went there, I realized that the world has started seeing that how the technology of blockchain can actually reshape finance. And this year it is in full force. The IFF that happened in Saudi, it again reflected the same. This year it's different. I have more than 50 requests of top banks and investment bankers and boutiques in the world who wants to engage on how they can bring this technology, this tokenization and Sharia compliant, not even non-Sharia compliant stuff, by the way. Not only, like, we are not limited to that as a blockchain, of course,
Sure.
but broadly, how can we use that tokenization technology to actually translate what they already have in a more efficient way? Because it is becoming highly competitive for the finance and investment industry to remain competitive in the day of fast-moving fintechs of the world, in the world of AI and all that. They want to become efficient as well, so they want to know that how can they use this to cut down a lot of intermediaries and be direct with the end investor. And I think this is the theme this year, a lot of discussions around stable coin, around tokenization, around blockchain, and this is what I'm looking forward to.
It's exciting times for you. It really is. Look, congratulations on the launch of Nawr Finance. Abdul Rafay Gadit is a Dubai-based entrepreneur, I think it's fair to say, co-founder of ZIGChain, joining us at Mira Business FM this morning. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Assalamu alaikum.
This is Mira Business FM.